This is the Red Line, and I am your host, Jimmy Red. Thanks for tuning in. We have a fantastic week of NFL coming up for you guys, but we're going to break back to last week on the games that we predicted and give you the scores I predicted and then the final scores to those games. We predicted the Kansas City and Browns game. I said the score was going to be 42-35, Kansas City with the win. It ended up being 37-21. Not real great on that one, missed by a little bit. The Atlanta game and the Redskins, I said 27-30. Redskins win that game. That was way off there. That happened to be Atlanta 38-14 with a huge win. I said the Carolina game, Bucks 24, Carolina 35. Not super bad on that game. Missed it by a little bit. 42-28 was the final. I said 35-24. Steelers and Ravens, sorry. I said that was going to be 27-20. I thought it was going to be a very close game. I thought the Steelers would win it in a duel. Ended up being 16-23, so it was still a competitive game, only 7, so just a little bit short on the numbers. Also, I said Rams and Saints, 28-24 Rams. That ended up being 45-35 for the Saints. So, not too terrible. Not too fantastic either. A couple games close, a couple games all over the board. Missed on a few of them, but that's okay. That's why it's called predictions, not you know. And, excuse me. This week we're going to start the show off a little different. We're going to start with MVPs and who we think should be MVP of the year. So, I have MVP race. I'm going to give you my top 4. A lot of people don't like who I have in at number 4. They don't believe he's really a number 4 candidate, and I think he is. His numbers are better this year. He looks better. He's carrying his team better. Does he have more weapons? Yes. But that man would be Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton is an MVP candidate. I don't think he's quite there to be an MVP person yet, but his numbers are better. Having better numbers this year, I believe you at least have to have him in the race for MVP. In at 3, I think he's taken a few steps back. I know that he's not the team he was. He now has a loss to one of the guys up above him. That's Pat Mahomes. I have Patrick Mahomes in at 3, sorry. And the reason I have him at 3 is because obviously he lost to a very good team, and he's still young into his career. And Andy Reid has shown success through the first few weeks of football. So I think they start to take their downward fall little by little here in the next few weeks. Nothing mean on Patrick Mahomes. Great quarterback, but it's very hard for me to give an MVP candidate to someone on their first year, although he is setting the world on fire. In number 2, I have Drew Brees. Drew Brees looks good out there. He's slinging the football. He looks like Drew Brees of old. He's trying to get his first MVP he's ever got, and he looks like a machine out there. The Saints are rolling. He's got all kinds of weapons all over the field. Him and Michael Thomas hooking up for 91% of their catches throughout the entire year. They got the number 1 rushing defense in the league, which we showed on hand as a stop this weekend when they played the Rams. We saw that on hand. So I got them. I got Breeze there in it too. And number 1 is the man who is just the man of all. And that's Tom Brady. Tom Brady, I believe, is the MVP of the league this year. He is carrying his team. He didn't do very much without the superstars he had missing, but he has turned that around with these guys. He was very good still without them, but now he's went to a whole new level. Defense has stepped up. It's the best defense he's had in years. And also Bill Belichick's still there. And you can definitely not really see much of a transition from the defensive coordinator. It actually looks like their defense got better. So I think Brady is number 1. So, a couple more stats on those games that happened last week were that when the Panthers played against the Bucks, they had a lot of big plays. They had 4 plays of over 30 yards, and they had 5 plays of 20 yards plus in just the first half. They just threw the ball like it was phenomenal. Christian McCaffrey outscored that team single-handedly himself in the first half. Christian McCaffrey went off. He ended up having 159 yards in that game and 2 touchdowns. C-Mac looked like a machine. It helped his average for sure. He's jumped up to number 2 runner between the tackles, and he is now the 11th rusher in the NFL through the entire NFL. He has less carries than the guys above him, and he's only 5 to 3 to 4 yards behind some of these guys. So Christian McCaffrey really had a big game this week against the Bucs. It looked phenomenal. Also, the Rams were the 20th team to start the season 8-0 when that started since the merger. They then lost, so now they're not going to get to 9-0. Now they are 8-1. So 20th team to do that. And then in that game also, the Rams and Saints, that was the first time that two teams that late into the season, the Rams and the Saints met in a head-to-head matchup and were both averaging over 33 points a game. That is a lot of points. So we're going to get in elbow deep, ready to go. We have big matchups coming up here in Week 10. And that first matchup coming up here, folks, is the Pats and the Titans. I'm excited about that. I'm a Titans fan, but I'm excited about it for numerous amounts of reasons. The Titans have played against big teams already this year. They played against Saxonville, beat them 9-6. They played against the Eagles, beat them. Two big teams that everybody was high on when the year started and still think is very good, they beat. Obviously, New England is later on in the year. Their weakest month is September. If I was to play New England as anyone, I want to play them in September. I don't want to play them later on in the year because they get better as the season goes on. It's been proven. Brady just starts heating up. So, from the Titans, I'm definitely worried. Marcus Mariota is starting to get into form, though. They're coming off of a win last week against Dallas, where they had a strong performance. Marcus Mariota is 120 for 179 this year with 1,200 yards. It's a pretty good quarterback, especially considering he's already missed at least one, maybe 2 games. He's 5 for 5. He's 5 to 5, so his TD to touchdown ratio is 1 to 1. Running game, not really that hot because Derrick Henry is not piped out like everybody planned him to do this year. They expected Derrick Henry to take that to a new level, and he never took it there. He's that big back, Heisman Trophy winner, came out of Alabama, 6'4", 265. Not quite doing what he did in college because these guys are bigger. Derrick Henry not quite working out like they expected. Obviously, Corey Davis is the leading man on the receiving side. Not going to be 3 consecutive years because we have a hurt tight end. Our tight end was our leading receiver for the last 2 years. That was a big blow. Definitely hurts because I didn't want Delaney to get hurt because that's what we needed. But Corey Davis stepping up is going to give us another weapon next year into the season. But the Patriots, man, oh man, they are phenomenal because they have a wide receiving core that has some of the greatest names you've heard of. You have Chris Hogan, played lacrosse at Penn State. You got Gordon there, who came out of Baylor. You have Edelman. You have Gronk. You got Philip Dorsett. I mean, you have so many people right there that are going to Brady, and that's not even to mention what he's got in the backfield is weapons. If you want to run the ball, give it to the kid that's the rookie out of Georgia and Sony Michel. If you want to pass the ball or run it, put in James White. So the weapons they have there are endless on the offensive side of the ball for the Patriots. And I don't know if the Titans defense can stand up to all of that because most of these teams they play either have a good wide receiving core and struggle on the run side or they have a really good defense. Jacksonville struggles on the offensive side of the ball. Bortles is the 4th best quarterback in that division. They beat him. The only thing they had to really do was beat the defense, which they did. The Eagles' defense, not super phenomenal, but their offense was crazy, and it was only the second game back for Carson Wentz. He played first week against Indy and second week against the Titans. So him coming back only in his second game, that had, I think, something to do with it. Plus, Alshon Jeffries wasn't used to catching from him because he was used to catching from his other quarterback, Foles. And plus, by that time, Jay Ajayi was out, so they had to go to a different back. So I think that had some help to do for the Titans getting those wins. I think the Titans take this game huge. I think it's a big win for the Titans or the Patriots this weekend. I think the Patriots win this game. Give me 42-28. 42-28 on that game. Next game I want to talk about here is a AFC South matchup. And this one here has a lot of implications of a team that could win the division still in my mind. Reason being, we're halfway through the year, and you still have a shot for a team to fall apart, as in Houston. Houston could take a step back. They are on their bye week this week, and you never know how a team's going to come back from a bye week, for sure. It could be good, it could be bad. You could be really hot before and then lose it all and struggle. So we have to wait and see. But this matchup right here, I think, is huge between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts. And the reason I say that is because Blake Bortles is not what everybody thought Blake Bortles was last year. Blake Bortles, I predicted in the preseason poll, was the 4th best quarterback in the division of AFC South. He is behind Deshaun Watson, he is behind Andrew Luck, and he is behind Marcus Mariota. He is the worst quarterback. You got to score points to win a game. Your defense ain't going to win it because your defense was not that good in the first place. You just got rid of a guy, Dante Flowers, for a 3rd-round pick, and you send him out to L.A. So, obviously you thought your defense was great, or you're seeing struggles, one or the other. I think you're seeing the struggles in the defense, which is why you shipped him. Also, their leading back with Leonard Fournette has not played very much this year. They've been relying a lot on T.J. Yeldon. That's another kid out of Alabama. He was the back that came out alongside of the same year of Derrick Henry. So, Yeldon didn't get the time that Henry got as the back, and I didn't think he was going to develop into a back quite as good as Henry did, and it's shown in the NFL as well. Andrew Luck, though. Man, does he look good. I know the record doesn't show it, but he is really, really fired up this year. He's got the most passing yards among quarterbacks. He's leading on attempts. He just looks great out there. He doesn't have the wins. He's had a couple of bad things happen to him where Jack Doyle's fumbled the football. There's been fumbles, drop plays, even bad throws by him. But that's fine. It's his first year back. He's just got to get his guys. He doesn't even have his lead receiver there. T.Y. Hilton has not been playing. His lead receiver right now is Eric Ebron. And everybody knows that Ebron has problems holding on to the football as it was, which was one reason why they shipped him out of his original place that he was at. And he's now in Indianapolis. Plus, they were having problems at the back. They were using Naheem Hines, the rookie, out of North Carolina State. Well, now that they got Marlon Mack back, he has been on a tear, Marlon Mack has. Oh, my Lord, if you have him in fantasy or do not have him in fantasy, and you have a chance to get him, go get him. He has put up some massive points the last 2 weeks in fantasy football, for sure. I picked him up early in the draft, still have him. I picked him as an 8th-round pick. But he has 66 carries, 381 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He's a beast, man. He's only been playing 2 solid weeks, because he just came back from injury. So they got the running game. They got the protection of Andrew Luck. So when you do that, now all you got to do is bring back T.Y. Hilton. When T.Y. Hilton comes back, they're going to be a well-rounded team. And they're going to be a team that you're going to have to worry about. All these injuries have got to them so far. Watch out for Indianapolis, folks. I'm telling you, they're still got a shot to win this division and make the playoffs. I got Indy to win this game against Jacksonville playing at home. 28-24 in a close one. But I got them winning this game, 28-24 in a close matchup. I got the Colts. Another game here I want to talk about is the Seattle Seahawks and the St. Louis Rams. Rams coming in after a loss last week to the Saints, first loss of the year, and Seattle coming in to a loss after the Chargers. Everybody says, well, Seattle's only 4-4. They're a good 4-4. They're not just a 4-4 team. They are a good 4-4 team. You got to watch out for Seattle. I think Seattle still got some weapons there that you got to worry about. Obviously, they got Russell Wilson, who can just make anything happen. They still have Tyler Lockett. They still got Doug Baldwin. They still got some of the Legion of Boom. They're getting older up there in age, but they still have a lot of those guys. And I think they're going to be really, really good still. And I'm going to stick with these guys and think they got something to do, even though they're playing the Rams. And the Rams have the number 1 defense in the NFL. They have a great offense with Jared Goff. Todd Gurley looks like a machine out there running the football, which is crazy. Brandon Cooks is catching it like a machine. They still have Cooper Kupp. And you have so many defensive players with Landon, like I mentioned just a minute ago, Dante Flowers Jr., that number 1 pick in 2015, 3rd overall. They got him now. Plus, they got Aaron Donald, who is 2nd in sacks. He just lost it this week. He just didn't get one, so he left at 10. Somebody else jumped him and now has 11.5. So he's no longer the sacks leader. But you still have Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh. Your defense is stacked. And I think that defense is going to continue rolling and be able to get to Russell Wilson, although he is a mobile quarterback, and get a lot of sacks this week. I think that Rams team is beyond belief. I think they had a rough week last week against the Saints. I don't think that they played full potential football. They struggled at the start of the game, got behind, were able to come back and make it competitive. But they found out a way to shut down Aaron Donald. And I don't think that happens again if those two play again later this year. I think Aaron Donald finds a way to make moves and plays on his defender and get in there and make moves. Also, Ndamukong Suh, and I think Dante Flowers with more time with that team make it happen as well. So I think that Saints-Rams game looks different if we see it in a couple of weeks. They got him at good timing. Plus, the Rams had to travel all the way across country for that matchup and play in St. Louis, in New Orleans. So don't fall off on the Rams yet, but Seattle's a way better team than most people are looking at too. So this could be a toss-up of a matchup. The spread here on this game is not too questionable. It's a 10 spread. I think that might be a little high. I'm thinking it's right there at it. I'm thinking like 9, 7, 10 is right at it. So I like the spread. I like the score in this game to be Rams putting up a lot of points. They always do. I think they put up 32, and I think they covered a spread. It's going to be that close. It's a very, very close spread. I think they put up 32 and cover 32-21 and cover the spread. So give me the Rams 32-21. And another matchup we have is in the NFC with the Cowboys and the Eagles. The Redskins are currently leading that division, but the Eagles were picked to be favorite. I picked Dallas to be 500 team. I didn't think Dallas would win the division anyways, but now they're coming in here with a huge matchup and still a chance to win that division, even though I still think they can be 8-8. Dak Prescott, I don't know if he's a franchise quarterback anymore. I see a lot of struggles out of him this year. So I don't know if I can take Dak as a franchise quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott, numbers are down. He's obviously leading the NFL in rushing, but his numbers are down. The reason his numbers are down is because the passing game is not there. If the passing was there, I think that would open the run up. He would have more yards, and obviously Dallas would be a better team. I did not know Dak's numbers were going to be down as far as they were, and losing Jason Witten, his security blanket, seriously hurt. Des Bryant, I don't think hurt him, but I believe losing Jason Witten was a huge shot for him because that was his blanket that he went to. And obviously moving Cole Beasley to his number one target hurt a lot as well because Cole Beasley was a guy he relied on that was not the number one guy to watch, so he could dump the ball off to him. I think that hurt. Lost his security blanket and his favorite target. Cole Beasley are now his number one and no security blanket. That is a big blow. And they faced the Eagles. Eagles have been kind of sluggish to start this year off. A lot of people are kind of wondering why. Carson Wentz just coming back from an ACL tear. You gotta definitely be sluggish when you come back from that. You don't want to rush into something like that. You won the Super Bowl, but they got a little hype about it. When you get hype about it, you tend to lose a little progression. Plus, they lost their offensive coordinator, Frank Reich, to the Colts for their head coach job. That hurts too. When you lose an offensive coordinator, you got to retrain your offense to a new one. Unless that is one you went and got and you felt like it was a good fit for you like Carolina did. That has hurt as well. And with Wentz only getting a limited amount of time with him because he wasn't able to do camp, that put their numbers down. Plus, they lost Jay Ajayi, so they're leaning on Smallwood a lot. And I think that's rough because they need Ajayi. Jay Ajayi is a good back. And Smallwood, nothing mean against him, but it's not that guy. The wide receiving core is phenomenal. They still got him there. They still got Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, and one of the best, probably the third or fourth best tight end in the game in Zach Ertz. This game here, it's going to be, I believe, a close game because it's a conference game. Spread 6.5. I'm taking Philly to win it by 10. Give me a 28-18 Philly. I think Philly wins that game by 10. It's going to be a close one. They're in Philly. It's going to be loud. They're a home crowd. I know Dallas has went win-loss, 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 win-loss. But I can't do it this time. I think they go with a double L right here. Give me Philly. 28-18. And this one here is the marquee matchup of the week. Thursday Night Football. Carolina Panthers at Heinz Field to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh's really turning on the last few weeks. They still do not have Le'Veon Bell, but James Conner's number look better than Le'Veon Bell's numbers do. So, Big Ben still has Antonio Brown. Check. Still has Juju Smith-Schuster. Check. They have 2 weapons to pass to, and you got an awesome running back. They look very good still. I gotta keep the Steelers after coming after that big win over the Ravens, as in Carolina did as well. So both teams have beat them. Carolina did it bigger than they did, put up more points against the defense, so their offense will be better, I think. But they're gonna have their hands full. So we'll have to wait and see what Carolina does, because Cam Newton's numbers are up this year for sure. Everything's higher this year than it was last year. His yards per game, his passing, his numbers, his attempts, his ratings, everything up. MVP year to this year, up. I like that. Christian McCaffrey has turned into a 3-down back, folks. A lot of people didn't believe me when I said it on the prediction show that Christian McCaffrey was going to be an elite back this year. Turn into a 3-down back, be able to go between the tackles and make all this happen. Well, guess what? He's done it. I did a lot of research, just figured it was something I could see him doing. That's awesome. Plus, they got Devin Funchess, who is starting to step into the number 1 role, still struggling a little bit to be the number 1 receiver, but they have receivers that are stepping up, like DJ Moore, the kid they drafted out of Michigan, and Curtis Samuels. Curtis Samuels, everybody thinks of as a slot guy. He's not just a slot receiver. Him and Cam Newton have hooked up 7 out of 10 times down the outside of the field on long routes that he went for. He's went for 10, Cam's hit him on 7 of them. He's running reverse routes. That kid is a phenom. Keep your eye on Curtis Samuel. I think that kid's one that is going to be an X factor for the Carolina Panthers in this game against that defense, against the Steelers, because they're a defensive-oriented team with their head coach being defensive-oriented, Mike Tomlin. And the spread on this game is 4. It's going to be a tight game, they think. You always give the home team the 4. They are on the road Thursday night. They think they're going to win. Short work week. But I can't take the Steelers. I can't do it. I think Carolina wins this game, and they win by 7. I think Carolina wins it by 7. 28-21 Carolina. I don't see any field goals happening in this game. I think it's going to all be touchdowns. I think the defense steps up, and it's all big plays. So, 28-21 Carolina. Right before we get off here, at the end of every show, before we get off, we do the red hierarchy, which means I give you the top 5 teams, according to me, after this week of football. And with that being said, the teams I have coming in, at 5, I got the Chargers. A lot of people look at the Chargers and say, well, they're not that great. How are they not that great? They are 6 out of the last 7 wins, and that's 5 in a row. Their 2 losses they have to were Kansas City and the Rams. They are a phenomenal team. Put them in at 5. And at 4, I have the Rams. The Rams just lost this week to the Saints. The Saints are above them in the rankings, so I believe they're still a great team. I still believe they're Super Bowl contenders. That one loss I do not think hurts them one bit. I think they just found a way to shut down Aaron Donald. Put the Rams in at 4. Number 3, I got the Carolina Panthers. They're rolling. Their offense looks great. Their defense looks great. Luke Kuechly, everybody's there. They're healthy. You got Thomas Davis back, Kawan Short in the middle. You got all your defense stacked, ready to go. They're making big plays. Reed starting to step in and look like a team player with you guys. Newton's stepping up. Christian McCaffrey starting to look like the 3-down back you guys wanted him to earlier on in the year. He's developing into it. DJ Moore starting to, and Curtis Samuel starting to work into a little bit higher role, as I mentioned already. So I got the Panthers in at 3. Number 2, I have the Saints. I have the Saints in at number 2. Defense, rolling. They just beat the Rams, who I had in at number 1 this week. Their defense looked phenomenal. It's the number 1 run-stop defense. They just stopped Gurley like it was nothing this week. It is for real, it looks like. Breeze is putting numbers up phenomenal. Him and Michael Thomas hooking up for 91% of their catches through this year. It's phenomenal between those two. Put the Saints in at 2. And number 1 team, I have the New England Patriots. I believe the Patriots are the best team in the NFL. Their defense looks better than it has, and all those weapons that Brady has are phenomenal. He matched up against Aaron Rodgers, who is potentially one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, ever. And he's beat them both times. They did it again this week in not a shootout, but in a thrilling fashion. And I think that big win over a guy like Aaron Rodgers jumps you to the number 1 spot. It's later on in the year. You're starting to get rolling. You're playing the Titans this weekend, whose defense is pretty strong. If you can beat them, you're definitely the number 1 team. And in at number 1 are the New England Patriots. So make sure you guys tune in right here, because that's what I've talked about through week 10 that's going to happen. Make sure you come back next week right here on the RedLine and check out how well I did with my scores, and also to get next week's prediction for Week 11 in the NFL right here on the Red Line. See you guys.